Teach Like a Champion, Technique 33, Wait Time, presented by Uncle Dan's Homeschool Academy.
Hello, I'm Daniel Bowe, and today we're going to be talking about wait time, which is from Teach Like a Champion 3.0, Technique 33, but it's also from 2.0 and the original first edition. It's kind of a staple of the system here, so it's one of the most important techniques that is carried through all three editions. Well, what is it? What is wait time? Wait time gives students time after the question before you call for an answer. And this is a big problem for most teachers, new and experienced, that they don't give students enough time. And when I'm doing walkthroughs for teachers, it is really one of the most common comments that I make. Work on your wait time, almost always. I've been teaching for over 20 years, and if I have too much caffeine before I go into class, I still have problems with wait time. So it's really easy because we're always under the gun and there's not enough time to do anything that we want to really try to rush the kids. But we need not to do that. We need to give them time after we ask a question for them to give us a good answer. So why are we going to use wait time? First of all, if you're just taking hands, you're going to get more hands. You're going to have more students who have time to get an answer and prepare an answer and put hands up. So if you're not doing anything else, you're not doing cold call, you're not doing pepper, you're not doing anything like that, then you're going to have more people answering. And pretty much this is kind of the stereotypical classroom situation where one person is answering all the teacher's questions, right? And that is a symptom of not having enough wait time. It can also be low student engagement, but wait time really helps student engagement because students have time to answer, and putting this together with other accountability features, accountability questioning techniques, helps drive more students. It helps the slower students engage. So that's kind of similar to what I just said, whereas your fastest student, your best student is the one that's putting the hand up all the time. You're like, anybody else? Anybody else? So that's, like I said, stereotypical of kind of mediocre teaching classroom. If you see yourself doing that, if you see yourself saying, hey, I need somebody else to answer, this is one of the important techniques to use, and also turn and talk and cold call. But wait time will really help the kids who take more time but have given up answering because they know they won't have the time to formulate their answer, so they're not even going to try. Those students are going to start trying. Okay, you're going to have better answers from your students. Students are going to have time to think about what they're going to say before they say it. And when you have turn and talk or think, pair, share, this is kind of the essence of that. You're trying to give students enough time to formulate a good answer. But for a lot of questions, you don't need to do a turn and talk. You can get better answers just by providing 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Doesn't need to be a turn and talk. For my English language learners, which I teach a lot of English language learners, I am almost always saying, write down your answer. Write down your answer. You have 20 seconds. Think of your answer. Write down your answer. And then this gives me another opportunity to check to see if students are actually trying to answer, because I can see whether that pencil is moving or not. You'll get more thinking from your students. They will have a chance to go back, maybe check their notes, look up something that they're not clear about, think about technical vocabulary, domain-specific vocabulary they want to use. They may have time to have a first draft of an answer and go back and redraft, revise that answer. And the last thing is you'll have better evidence. So if you don't give students time, and what you want is textual evidence, which most of my English language teachers, ELA teachers, want, then if you don't give them time, they're not going to be able to pull up that evidence. So how do we use wait time? First of all, we give an appropriate amount of time for the kind of answer we want. It has to be at least 5 seconds. But we'll see in a second. I'm going to give some guidelines about how much time you should use. Not like hard times, not scientific, and this is not in Teach Like a Champion. This is just from my experience. And you need to make sure you call on a student after the wait time is over. And this is an accountability measure. You want to make sure that everybody knows that they could be called on to answer this question. So students have to be accountable for this. How long should the wait time be? First of all, I'm going to put this in kind of frame of blooms. So if this is a knowledge level question where students are having to recall, give them 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds. 5 seconds is the minimum, and you'll find out that if you're asking students a question where they have to recall something, giving just 5 seconds for the rest of the class to catch up after that first person, recalls faster, will get you a lot more engagement. If you're going for an understanding question that requires some rumination, not just a factual answer, give 15 to 30 seconds. That will give the student time to think about the question and run through the question in their head and come up with 2 or 3 possible answers and choose one. If there's an application level question, 30 seconds to a minute. But these kinds of questions, I really encourage you to think about using a turn and talk. So you can use a turn and talk, you two come up with an answer, you have 1 minute. The turn and talk is kind of an application of wait time. If you have an analysis question, you really absolutely need to use a turn and talk or even a think, pair, share. So if you have an analysis question, probably it's better for think, pair, share, and then that you're going to take 5 minutes of class time to do this. So it's really, once you get into the analysis level questions, it is really not a wait time issue. I mean, think, pair, share is like wait time on steroids, but we're out of the scope of wait time. So I want you to think of wait time for really, in essence, knowledge and understanding questions. Okay? If you get up into application questions, you can still use them sometimes, but a turn and talk should probably be the choice for an application question. As I've discussed previously about scripting, this is another reason why scripting is really important, because scripting your questions before your class allows you to know and think about what level of blooms those questions are at. If you don't script your questions and you come up with your questions on the spot, you're likely to not give the students the right amount of time, because you're not going to sit and think, oh, this question requires some analysis. This question requires some application of some skills, and I need to allow X seconds for this to happen. So you really, to have good questioning technique, you really need to think about your questions before, script your questions, and script exemplar answers. Steps. What are the steps in wait time? First of all, you need to teach your kids to keep hands down. I'm not really a big give me hands person, and I try to discourage my teachers from doing that, but that's a philosophical choice. If you're going to allow hands, make sure the hands stay down until that time is over. Hands up can be intimidating for kids who are slower. You need to provide guidance before and during. For guidance here, what kind of answer you're looking for. And during, you can provide some extra guidance. You see some students, especially if you're having them write their answer to prepare their answer, you can see some answers and point out some maybe corrective guidance. You need to be clear about how much time you're giving. If you're giving 5 seconds or you're giving a minute, the answers are going to be different. So tell them how much time they're going to have. And if you're having a longer time, like 30 seconds, consider a timer that the students can see. You need to tell them how much depth they're going to give, because some students, they're going to give you the low-hanging fruit and they're going to stop. They need to know in advance that will not be deep enough, and then they will be subject to right is right. You don't have to put it that way, but I've previously covered no opt-out, right is right and stretch it. Right is right takes that kind of partially right answer and moves it to a fully correct answer. So if students don't go deep enough, then you need to really enforce that culture and take them to the depth that you want. But if you're clear about it beforehand, you probably won't have too much trouble. And our last thing, let them think. So even though I'm saying give a little bit of guidance, do not talk constantly during the 5 seconds or 30 seconds. Do not keep talking. As much as possible, silence in the room. Let them think. Give them that time to think. So that is Wait Time, Teach Like a Champion 3.0, Technique 33. This is one of my top techniques that I teach every new teacher. If you are a teacher trainer, I highly encourage you to make this one of your initial training points because it will really take new teachers from being awful or not quite awful to being passable teachers within a month. And that's a hard thing to do. If you're a teacher, though, I encourage you to make sure that you are using Wait Time in your classroom as much as possible. So thank you for listening to me. This is Wait Time, Teach Like a Champion 3.0, Technique 33. I'm Daniel Bowe.
Thank you for listening to Technique 33, Wait Time from Uncle Dan's Homeschool Academy.